Hi folks, once your data table is finished, then you're ready to insert a picture, which will be a chart or a graph of your data. Here in Excel, they call this sheet a spreadsheet, and then when you add the graph, that part is called the chart. What I've done is I've taken our first set of data, and I did make one change. Since we had height kind of on a separate axis over here and we had day over here, day was kind of smushed with water and it was in the same column as 1, and so I gave day its own column here and kind of its own space because I didn't want anything to interfere with how the program reads the data. I'll be honest, I normally insert a chart using guess and check, and then I just see what works and what looks good. But there are probably some kids in here who are more experienced with it and naturally better with it, and then they'll be able to make suggestions on what to include and what not to include. So sometimes for the data, I'll just highlight this part and then say insert chart here, and that will open up this area with all different kinds of charts. Or if this area is already open, you can just click on charts in the middle. And then, believe it or not, there are about a bazillion different kinds. In fact, what it's showing here are different kinds of bar graphs, different kinds of columns, different kinds of pie graphs. Pie wouldn't fit for this one so much, but probably a column or a bar graph would be really good. So what I do is I usually play around with highlighting different parts of the data and then seeing what kind of chart I like. So I'm going to try, actually line would probably be really good for this. Here's a line graph with this, column graph, which isn't quite clear. I don't like that one so much. So I just highlighted it and then I hit delete. Let's try a line graph and see what pops up. Something like that. That's kind of interesting. You can see the no water one never gets above 0, but it's using percentage here instead of height in centimeters, and that's not really what we want. So I'm going to try to highlight more and see. I'm not going to include these words, never germinated, but I'm going to see if that helps with our line graph. Yeah, now that I've highlighted the height in centimeter part, then it's including the centimeters here in data, and then each day you can see where everything was each day. So this could be some kind of chart that you want. You can move it around your spreadsheet to wherever you want once you get kind of that mover symbol. And then you can click around if we, using these different tools here, you can label your x-axis and your y-axis. You can change, oops, let me undo that, sorry. You can, where would that be? Here's titles. You can add a title. You can add your axis, your x-axis and your y-axis titles. Here day showed up and height in centimeters showed up in the legend, but there isn't height in centimeters here on your y-axis, so you would want that too. Maybe you're going to find that that's a little bit too much information, so what you could do is do each row separately. Here's soap, and I could take a look at that. That would just give me the height of the one that was watered with soap, and you might want to have a different chart for each item that you are recording. So you could do several separate ones. One way I think I might do this is to copy and paste the final information somewhere else. There's that, and then I would copy, because I think that's the most interesting part, is how it turned out at the end. Edit, copy, put that on top, edit, paste, oops, edit, paste. Sorry. There we go, take 2. Edit, copy, edit, paste. I I guess I should be using some keyboard shortcuts. But then this could pretty much be my insert a chart. I think maybe I'll try bar. And then I kind of like this. It's showing like the meat of it. Well, no water. Look, it didn't grow at all. And then you can see, whoa, it really grew the furthest with the plain water. And then you can add to this chart by adding the titles here. You could sort the data a different way. That's kind of interesting too. In fact, I might like that better because it's making clear what the different objects were by putting them in different colors. So you can also play with this chart data, how you sort your chart data, and you can play around with labeling the axes, and that's in chart options or in chart data. Notice that your toolbox changed once you started to work with the chart instead of your data table. So that's my best advice, is to play around with the data. Let's take a look at, I'm going to highlight that and hit delete so we can just make a little bit more space. And let's take a look at our other data. I have a little blank space here, so I'm going to go edit, delete, and just shift the cells up so that it's all together. Actually, it'd be interesting to see what happens if we highlight just the data and try to look at a pie graph with this. Let's see what the computer does with it. Not much happened there. No, not at all. I told you I do guess and check a lot. The data being organized like this wasn't really helpful to the program. Now I'm highlighting the labels. Let's see if that helps at all. No, not so much. I'll try clicking this edit sort by data. It looks like we really did need to organize our data in a way that was kind of more thoughtful, or that made a little bit more sense, because now we can highlight this and say that we want to look at it maybe in bar graph form. And then it's taking all the different colors and sorting it by male or female. I guess you probably wouldn't want 2.5 and 1.5 here, because you don't usually have half a person. So you'd have to change what the labels look like, and you'd have to label your axes again. So for chart title, we could say favorite color by gender. Notice how it fixes it right then. And it's a title, so I capitalize the first and last word, all important words, and not the small words. And then on the horizontal axis, I guess I'd say number of people, which is why you wouldn't have a person. And then on the vertical axis, you would have color. Favorite color, maybe? Favorite color. And then I know there's a way to edit these. I'm just not, maybe you'd get this special box and kind of play around with that. But let's say you don't like this kind of chart. Remember, you can totally change it. Let's take a look at what it would look like as a column chart. That's really easy to read. You can kind of tell right away that red was a favorite with the guys, and that they were equal on purple, and that females really preferred this black-brown area. So I really like that one. That's kind of my favorite. So you can play around and guess and check. Don't forget to always save, so go File to Save As. And you might need to give it a new name with like the number 2. Actually, this one I'd call Data and Chart. But don't use any punctuation, and don't use any like and signs or exclamation points. It's going to freak out your computer, which really thinks that punctuation is programming language. So you can either save it as an XLSX or just an XLS, either way. Put it somewhere where you know you can find it. Here I'm putting it on the desktop and then hit save. It might not be saved. Do I want to still save it? I'm going to hit yes, but then I'm going to save it again because it gave me a warning message. XLSX is the most sophisticated format, so we're going to save it in that format too, because that way we're sure to have all of our bells and whistles that we put in here. Okay, good luck making your graph or picture. You're going to highlight your data and then say insert chart, highlight your data. It will give you insert chart as a choice, or look for this bar in the middle and click on charts, and it'll open up all these possibilities. And of course, the possibility that's best for you will depend on your data and actually what your hypothesis was for the best way to display what you're trying to prove. Okay, be sure to ask if you have any questions.